How's it going, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you guys are excited for this one because I have an interesting one for you guys today. As you can see, we are currently 227 LP in Master on Career. We are on a win streak and a half, boys. Look at all these wins. Those are all practice tools, so those don't count. But we had a few games in particular in today's stream. Notably, these ones here, which were the 15-minute surrenders by the enemy team. Now, we had 3 of them, and every single one of them was a great game. But unfortunately for Yorick Jungle, what happens is I play so well early, and then I try to fall off usefulness later. So only the first 10 minutes is really good content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through all 3 videos, but we're only going to do the early games. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you guys what to do. If you ever get these matchups, these early games, I'll go over it bit by bit, and let's see if I can get some educational content rather than just these long, boring gameplays. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so this is game 1 that we played on stream. Now, this game is Yorick versus Belveth. If you ever get this matchup, I would recommend you probably look to dodge this as you're getting started to Yorick because it's not a very good matchup. In fact, Belveth is probably one of the worst, if not top 3 worst matchups for Yorick. There's one main reason for that, and it's because Belveth has a habit of playing in your face. Whenever you verse junglers that like your jungle to be their jungle, it's never a good matchup because we rely on our team to come to help us. Belveth is a perfect example of a champion that does this because she has the ability to take raptors so quickly. What they usually do is they start at your jungle. So if you ever verse Belveth, first thing you want to do is defend your raptors. Level 1, usually you want to ward your raptors, okay? Now, I don't know if you noticed, but on this one, I actually saw Belveth on the minimap. I thought that was Belveth, so I figured she's going to start my raptors. So what are we going to do? We're going to get an early ward out. Now, you can either ward towards that where this bush is, or you can ward up where your red is. Generally speaking, I warded with the bush, so I would probably ward in that bush there. But in this scenario, I warded up near the red because I figured she was going to go from the raptors to the red, or she might be starting at the red, one of the two. We see her at the enemy jungle anyway, so that's absolutely fine. No issues with that. If you see her start at her jungle, then that means you can do whatever you want. Because if she's not starting yours, it's absolutely fine. You're just going to start at the wolf camp, kite it down. Let's go take the blue buff afterwards, or let's take the Gromp afterwards. Like I said, there's no actual risk. If she starts in her own side jungle, this is any other matchup at this stage. Just make sure you do the jungle clear properly. You get 3 ghouls from your wolves. You raise those ghouls. Make sure you take the aggro from the Gromp. You don't want ghouls taking aggro off this Gromp. Now, you can smite this. There's no risk in smiting this. If he comes, and he smite steals it, yeah, it sucks, but he's not going to come and smite steal this. It's just not going to happen. Now, when you're taking this one, remember, you want to leave it at 5 seconds remaining on your E. I overstayed here a little bit, but you can just leave it at 5 seconds left. And then you can get that max range E off, and you get cross mid around about 230. Right now, I cross mid about 231, so I'm about 1 second behind my jungle clear. Now, you start off this camp with your E or your W. You'll see as I'm doing this camp, a Belveth summons. She comes out of nowhere. Because of the Conqueror changes, if you see someone, just hit them. Don't try to finish the camp, just hit them. Just run at them. Because the faster you get your ghouls attacking that champion, the faster you get Conqueror stack. I'm already max stacks Conqueror off just the engage. So you can see I'm just going to focus one of them. Belveth flashes the wall. It doesn't matter. Max stacks Conqueror in early game is insane. I had 76 healing off my Conqueror off that play alone. That is nuts. Absolutely crazy. Now, to use this lead, let's have a think about it. Belveth, what did she do? She came and invaded me. She would have only had time to do 3 camps to do that invade. So I'm assuming all her top jungle is there. I could go for her blue, but then I could get collapsed on. So I'd rather just finish my jungle clear and then recall and use this time, use the extra gold I got from the double kill, spend it, and then let's focus somewhere else. In this scenario, you would ask the question, do you go for a scuttle here? So, do you gank top or do you go for a scuttle? The gank top is a good call. I actually like the gank top idea. Belveth is here. That's fine. We can land the E. If I was probably smarter, I would have landed the E sooner and casted it, but that's all right. This, you're seeing that right there is why you don't like versing Belveth. She insta clears all your ghouls with a single cast of her, I think it's her W, of her W. Or is it an E? No, it might be her E. It's absolutely insane. She is such a bad matchup for Yorick once she starts snowballing. Now, you can see my bot lane got double kill. My top lane's winning and I'm winning. It's a good start. This is the perfect start for Yorick jungle. I don't have any ghouls on me now, though. So the first thing is we want ghouls. So do we go for the wolves or do we go for the scuttle? I like to go for the ghouls. So I always go for the ghouls first. I can see an argument for going for scuttle first here, though. But generally speaking, if you've got a smite ready, start the wolves. Make sure you smite the big one to get it down as fast as possible. It should usually time out so that you can get your second Q off. Raises the ghouls, you chuck them on Gromp and you go for the scuttle. It usually times out quite well. Remember, at any stage, your 3 ghouls can solo the Gromp at any stage of the game. So you don't have to stay and commit to that. The only thing to keep in mind is if you're going to do that and you're going to do 2 camps at once, watch this jungle item bounce. You see how it's not focusing on one camp alone, it's focusing on both of them. That means if you go and hit the raptor camp, you're not going to be doing that much damage to that Gromp. You're going to be doing half the damage output. So sometimes it's actually better off you just don't attack anything and you let that damage tick down. And I see the perfect dive opportunity bot here. I love that wall that usually cuts off that entrance, but in this scenario I didn't even need it. Now ask yourself here, what do? You just got a nice gank off a bot. Why isn't there jungler here to counter gank this? Where is he? That's because he's probably either at his Krugs or he's at your Raptors. Now I put my money on him being at my Raptors, but you notice that he wasn't here. Because he's already taken it. This is already gone. That's not a Belveth. And general rule of thumb for me is never cross map. So going from where I am right here to the enemy, to my Raptors, is what I would call cross map. And I don't think it's a good idea. I think it is a big waste of movement. I never advocate for it. If you're ever in this position, you just recall, get a nice buy, and just call it there instead. So here, I would probably say your best play is to either go for the Krugs or go for the Raptors. Their jungle dies. That means a better thing. We're going to go for Grubs. Grubs, you don't have to worry about having ghouls before you start Grubs. It is not like taking Raptors. You don't need to go for all the Raptors first. You can simply just go for Grubs instead if you wanted to. In fact, looking back here, this is a misplay. There's no reason to rush this now. I might as well just go to Grubs. Because Grubs summon all the little ones. All those little ones drop graves, and you'll automatically have free graves off it. I could have almost been halfway through these Grubs by now. Because there's a risk. If I don't rush it sooner, their jungle might come. And I'm not in any better position, having done the Raptors, having not done the Raptors. Because I've got 4 ghouls. I would have had 4 ghouls by the time the jungle came. And I didn't hit level 6 off it, because I wasn't close enough to the level 6 anyway. So, I think going Grubs was better there. But, yeah, I would have been done this by now, and there wouldn't be a risk of it being stolen. But, like I said, if you've got Conqueror, just hit them. There's no risk. You almost always come out ahead now with the new Conqueror changes. Luckily, we've got Maiden out, so that's all good. Just take that. And remember, don't finish the Grubs. Let your ghouls do the work. Be productive elsewhere. I want you guys to go do other things. Do the Grubs. Halfway through the Grubs, go do his Gromp. Check some vision out. This is what the time that you need to use doing other things. Now, I saw a good opportunity to dive top here. This is a very nice opportunity to dive top. As you can see, miss my E. Hit the W. That's fine. As long as I'm tanking, that's all good. Now, again, my next camps are in the bot side. There's no point crossing map. Let's just recall, go spend our items. It's faster for us to simply recall and walk to our wolves than to simply walk from where I am all the way to wolves. I could have gone for Krugs first, and after Krugs, I probably could have gone red afterwards. But then, notice where that puts you on the map. You're then stuck in this half of the map. Your next camps are going to be down that side of the map. And then by the time you've finished all those ones, you're going to be going, wow, I need to go Dragon now, or I need to contest something. I would have been better off just recalling, spending my gold. So, if you ever have to cross map, don't do it. Remember, never cross map. Take off the wolves. And you can see we're in a really nice, we're in a good position here. We're in the lead. We're doing quite well. But, like I said before, we don't want to commit to doing camps alone. There's no point just doing them all myself. Just check the dragon, make sure it's not there. And just do the blue. And now after the blue, we have a Gromp that's right there. But do we want to commit to doing the Gromp with Yorick? No. We eat it, and let's go be productive on the map. Let's go do something. Dragon's good. Yeah, Dragon's a good call. It's warded, but is there really a risk? I don't think there's a risk here. If their jungle comes, she can try smite steal, but she's going to lose the 1v1 if she tries to. So whenever I'm ahead, I like to force these objectives a lot. We saw their jungle go on the top side anyway, so that's absolutely fine by me. I would assume he's at my red right now, or at least going for my red or going for the top play. So you can see that's why I'm pinging my red, and I'm charging straight for that red buff. I want to make sure he doesn't get my red, because I know that's what he probably wants. He probably wants to see if he can get a 1-up on me. So we start the camp. Let's hit this up. Is he doing my red? He's not doing my red, so there's no risk. Top lane is doing super well on her own. And do we commit to the red? We don't commit to the red. Let's get the ghouls to do it, and we'll go do what we want. As you can see, everything pretty much auto won from here. But in this position, when their jungle is not able to stop you from doing things, going to my Krugs there would have been a massive mistake. I would have missed this. He would have then respawned and come and got this straight away. That's what you want to avoid. You want to make sure, if you're in a position where you can push your advantage, you want to farm her jungle, not yours. And this is how the enemy should be thinking as well. If they're in a position of control over you, they should be farming your jungle and not their own. Because your jungle is a safety net. I can always go, you know what, there's nothing to do. I'll go for my own jungle right now. Whereas he can't. Now, in this position, what's he going to do? He's probably going to go, my jungle's all gone. Scuttle's up. Comes for Scuttle. You're not allowed to Scuttle. This is my Scuttle. And from here on, the game is pretty much over. He can't play the game anymore. Like, he's so far behind. I have so much gold. That's the only thing to look out for as well when you take the Scuttle. Make sure, as soon as Scuttle walks into a bush, your ghouls will de-aggro. So you see how my ghouls almost finished it and then didn't? It's because the Scuttle walked into the bush. As far as this game is going, it was a very easy 4-15 for the enemy team. We just stomped them completely from here on. So let's go with game 2. Alright, so game 2, we're versing an Elise jungle. Now, I don't verse Elise very often, but Elise jungle is very similar to Shaco. And whenever you verse something like an Elise or Shaco, the most important thing to do is early ward their raptors. So if you're playing bottom team right now, I will be warding either where I'm standing right now or the enemy raptors. Where I am from here, I'm definitely going to be warding the enemy raptors. The reason for that is it covers 2 bases. Number 1 is it covers their ability to gank mid at level 3 or level 2. Shaco is notorious for level 2 ganks. And number 2, it covers their ability to gank you at your own camp. So if I ward this bush right here and now, I see if Elise runs mid to gank mid level 2, and I also see if Elise runs to me at my blue to gank me level 2. That's the most important thing you can do. It's a preventative measure. Now you can see my mid lane warded my blue, warded my raptors. Perfect. That's exactly all you need. My early game is secured now. That is all I needed. Just those 2 tick boxes to be done. If you can, ask someone to ward your raptors for you, and you're good, and you're all good. So from here, you would just do a standard wolf start. Standard as standard can get. Auto queue, wait for your next auto queue, and then you go for another auto queue. So as you can see, just be really careful because these camps have been really finicky with me lately and they keep resetting on me. It's a bit of a pain. Just make sure you get those 3 ghouls from every single jungle camp. Now, Elise just moved past on the map. Now, quickly, in your head, you got to think, what's she doing? She's done 1 camp, she's running to my blue. So, pop that potion, get Yorick as healthy as possible, get the 3 graves, and get ready to fight her. She's there, chuck that E. Because of the ghouls, now I've got max stacks Conqueror instantly, and you just cannot win this. Elise does not win the 1v1, and you're laughing. Elise does not win 1v1 against Yorick. There is very few champions that can beat Yorick at a 1v1 at level 3 now. It is almost none. It's almost none. Because Conqueror covers the weakness we had, which is we relied on ghouls to actually deal damage over time. But now ghouls are buffing up Yorick with each attack. You can just either, remember there's no risk for her to invade me now. I know 3 ghouls at any stage will solo the Gromp. So now I can just go straight into my other side of the map. Now bear in mind, because I've hit this camp, the damage over time on that Gromp is now half. So instead, I'm going to be doing both of them at half speed instead of one of them at full speed. So there is negatives and cons to doing double camps at once. But you just got to know your limits. I knew that regardless. That's why I pretty much smited this one, because I knew it was going to take a lot longer. But as you can see, 4 ghouls here. Either red straight away. And you know what that means? It means if she's on the top half, she had blue. She came to me, she didn't have red buff. That means her red is still there. So guess what? Let's go invade her red. Now, it was a pretty good invade here. If you actually think about it, we knew she didn't have red buff because I don't have it. If I had red buff right now, I knew she had taken her red buff. So, and I knew her red was still there because I could see her without her red. So we used so many powers of observation here. We blocked her off from being able to get to her own camp, and we smite steal it right in front of her. And then we get our own red as well as a safety measure. And we can go for bot scuttle with control. This was probably one of the best early games I've played. In terms of power, this is just it was such an insane start. And we get the nice little counter gank off at bot. And look how well this works out. We got scuttle right there. We have wolves spawning. And after wolves spawn, we can get a recall. At least that's what I would consider doing. I can't remember what I did. I'm pretty sure that's what I did because my mid lane gets ganked now. He comes to me for help. Yorick W early is really powerful. Just know your limits. That's the most important thing you can learn is know your limits. After you E them, your ghouls jump and you auto Q. Look how much damage you did. You should be able to tell from that alone whether or not you commit to the fight or whether or not you run. Just then you saw I went all out. I blew all my spells on the Gnar. I looked at his health and I went, it's not going to work. Better run. That's what I want you to get used to doing. You need to be able to see that and know when to back out. So here, I was thinking, you know what, you could recall. But then again, I just killed their center. And their center didn't flash away from me. Why not get one more gank off before we recall? And as I run in, look at the timing. They just happen to be fighting at the exact same time. I know Senna didn't flash away from me before, so the chances are she doesn't have flash still. And that is the best concrete early game you're going to get. We prevented the invade, we countered the invade, we punished her, and then we got double ganks off early. And now we're 2-0-1, completely taken over this game. From here, this game is pretty much easy going. I'm not running inspiration this game, so you can see I picked up the early boots too. Turns out the early boots 2 was actually the thing, not really jack of all trades. It might have just been the thing that was getting me through my early game so well. So I actually ran Ultimate Hunter this game, and I abused boots 2. Because boots 2 rush, there's a reason AP junglers go for sorcery boots first. It gives way too much power to be wherever you want on the map. But that's actually doubly important for Yorick, because Yorick's ghouls get bonus movement speed based off your boots. If you have boots 2, your ghouls move with 60 bonus movement speed. If you have boots 1, they have 25% bonus, 25 flat movement speed. It might be 50. I can't remember. 45. One of those. But if you get percentage movement speed, they don't get that. So one of the only ways for you to actually make your ghouls more consistent is to buy movement speed. And it's such an odd thing because you don't really think about it. If your ghouls are chasing someone, it doesn't matter if they have a million AD. If they can't catch the person, what's the point? They're not going to deal any damage. That's why the early boots for Jungle Yorick is so powerful. And remember what I say, you never finish the grubs. If you know they're not going to contest it, there's no reason to finish it. We go for the invade. You can see there's no camps here. What does that mean? It means she's on the other side of the map. So we ping back our team on the other side. And then we'll put ourselves in a position where we can actually get some pressure off. You can see I'm sitting around here. I'm waiting. Oh, Elise shows up. We're ready to fight if need be. My mid goes in. I jump on Elise. Get a nice little catch. Perfect. We're in a good spot now. Let's just get this in. And then we can maybe look to invade or take the top scuttle. One of the two. No, I'm really close to 6. Secure the cannon. Pop the ult. Elise is trying to fight me 1v1. But like, she lost level 3. She's going to lose now. She flashes away. We get a nice E. Beautiful play, dude. Doesn't get any better than that. So, from here, what would you do? Now, her raptors, I want her raptors. Like, I want to punish her for making that mistake. This is the best thing you can do. Just take one camp away from her. That means to get that camp back, she has to run into your jungle. She's already losing. She has to make a risk to actually get back even with you. Going for her Krugs here was actually just as good. You could argue going for her Krugs is good there too. But regardless, let's just set the safe option. One camp, take the dragon, and then you can look to go into your own jungle, take your own camps. And from here, this game was pretty stock standard and easy. Just remember, whenever you're ahead, you don't have to commit yourself to doing camps on your own. Let the ghouls solo camps when you're ahead. I almost never do Gromp with Yorick after 10 minutes in. After 5 minutes in, it's always ghouls alone. And I always gank without ghouls. It is absolutely fine to gank without ghouls. Because if you get a gank off and farm at the same time, you're doing something no other jungler in the game can do. Now, you can see I'm in the bottom half of the map right now. I see Elise top. Might as well go for the red. You might as well take this red off her. Because this is something I need to punish her for going topside. Obviously, it's pretty free. And I'm in a very good position here to go, you know what? Can I just gank bottom after this? I'm here. I'm close. By ganking bot here, I know where that Elise is probably going to go. I know in my head, she's going to think Yorick's bot. I'm going to go to his red. So we've got everything laid out here. We know the next steps that she's going to take. We've put ourselves in her head and we've made that thought process. Now I know the second I recall here, I'm going to be gunning for my topside jungle because that's where she is. And you can see I'm pinging that off. I'm going, guys, she's probably at my red right now. So let's finish our items as fast as possible. Always rush Cleaver on Yorick jungle. It is the best item in the game. Nothing even comes close. You see Elise shows up there? Sorry, it's backwards. I always get it wrong. She doesn't have red. Why doesn't she have red? She didn't take my red for some reason. So I go and check my raptors. She decided to take my raptors, but not my red buff. It's a questionable play when junglers take raptors instead of red buffs. It just makes no sense to me. From here, we're pretty much just going to take whatever's in close proximity and get ready for second grubs. And this game was pretty stock standard and over from here. I didn't really have to do much else. We secured the early game, and that's all that matters. From here, it was just grubs into pushing for the end. We got a few catches along the way, but my top laner was really consistent, and my bot lane helped me funnel through them to get ahead. So that's this free play done. We'll get started on game number 3. So the third and final game, we have Yorick versus Ninetales. Now, this is one of the most common, if not the most common matchup for Yorick in high elo. You're always going to versus Ninetales. She is probably the hardest matchup in the game, just because so many high elo players are so mechanically good with her that it's very hard to keep up. If you ever verse one in lower elo, you're probably not going to have as much issues. Just make sure you always ward your raptors and ask someone to ward their raptors. If you can get both of those done, your game will be significantly easier. Everything is so much easier if you can do that. Now, the important thing when you verse Ninetales is you can't take risks. You always have to play safe. Generally speaking, you'll always see me do either a 5 camp gank or a 6 camp clear. I never invade versus Ninetales. Because if the champion has the ability to jump, if you're ever versing something that's AP and has a gap closer that doesn't target anything, and for examples, that's Echo and Ninetales, who have a jump that doesn't need to jump to a target. They can just dash on the spot. They will always be your hardest matchups in the game. So, I'm talking Zac, Ninetales, Echo. These champions are impossible to beat properly as Yorick. You will struggle against them. I struggle against them, and I've been versing them for years, okay? Generally speaking, the best way you play against them is you need to get someone else on your team to be fed enough to be not only carry you, but to actually draw attention away from you. So if you're versing Zac, for example, I often say, get your bot lane ahead because you want Zac to jump on them and not you. While Zac jumps on your bot lane, you can then jump on their team and you can 1v3 and you can take care of them that way. So you can see this game here, I'm going for a full clear. I always pretty much full clear against Ninetales if I'm topside. The other thing you can do here is you can ward your bottom side jungle and you can start at your red. If you do red Krugs Raptors, you can then, if she invades your blue, you can then go to her blue. Just know that if you do that, you're pretty much vertical jungling and she can just destroy your bot side jungle and your bot lane. I really don't like vertical jungling if I'm top team because what it makes me do, at least if I'm top side of the jungle, because I'd never like giving the enemy jungle the ability to just rampage on my bot lane without me being able to counter gank it. If I'm going my blue to her red and she has my top half of the jungle, that's fine. She can do that. I'll vertical jungle that any day. But imagine right now if I was in her red set, if I was in her blue buff section. Now my team's on 1 hit under the tower. It's just never going to work. She's always going to get control over my bot side. And they're just going to lose and they're going to ping you and they're going to flame you and they're going to tilt. In this scenario, we had a nice recall. We got 2 items. My mid's got a really nice pickup, but I'm just going to go there to help him anyway, just in case. You can see they jump on my team. I'm there to help. Get a nice W off. He can just jump the wall, though, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Get a nice kill. Goes to my Victor. Perfect. So, in this scenario, what's the best thing to do? Because we've got a few things up. Number 1, Ninetales dead, so she's coming from base. Number 2, that Scuttle is still there. Number 3, my Gromp is up. So, what am I going to do? I'm pinging my top side back because I'm saying, hey, Ninetales is probably going top. And I know that because she started top half. So, she's going to be back there. Now, I take the Scuttle. Scuttle's gone. Let's go have a little quick... That was supposed to go over the wall. Ignore me. I'm a moron. Ninetales shows top. Now, in your head, what does that tell you to do? In my head, it tells me I should be invading her Raptors. I've got a double smite up anyway, so she's still top. I can guarantee that. But there's always a risk. When you're versing someone that has pushing mid capabilities and very quick rotations, you always want to be risky. Now, the second I saw that Talon move, you can see I backed out. See, I was very quick with that. And the reason that, because I knew if anyone's going to rotate onto me, it was Talon. And I get back up from my teammate, get a great flash away, and all of a sudden, I'm out. I'm done and gone. I'm going to stay somewhat around because I don't want to just run away. I can still help if need be, but I don't see any reason for me to stay any longer. Let's go back. Remember, no cross-mapping, and definitely no cross-mapping when you're at risk for being killed by an Italy. I'm assuming my Raptors are gone here. So instead of going for Raptors, let's go for Krugs. Going for the Krugs gives me the opportunity to get ghouls. I can go from Krugs straight to Grubs. And that is a pretty okay start. I don't have a kill, but I'm doing pretty good. Now, worst comes to worst, these Krugs are gone. And if that's the case, it's annoying. Okay, so you've seen she's taken my Krugs. Now, that's actually doubly annoying. Because to compound that, she's actually taken my Raptors too. Now, if you look at the map, what can I do? What can I even do at this stage? There's nothing on my side of the map at all. I can't do anything. The only thing up is her Raptors. So, is there really a risk? If I ran into her Raptors right now and found their bot lane, is there a risk for it? Yes, I can die. But I know most likely their jungle is at the Grubs right now with the rest of their mid and top. So I'm going to take the risk here. Worst comes to worst, I get collapsed on. My support rotates up and my mid comes to me. As long as I can guarantee that I get something out of this, we're fine. Good. We made 1 camp back. Now remember, that's a +1 to me and a -1 to her. When she took both of my camps, that's a -2 to me and a +2 to her. I don't have those assets to get back until they respawn. That's why counter jungling is so valuable. But counter jungling is mostly only valuable if you have the ability to get that next subsequent camp. Because you need to keep getting her camp over and over so she doesn't benefit from that ramping experience increase. So here you can see I've just taken my wolves. Her Gromp is up. Let's chuck an E at her Gromp. Remember, we don't do the Gromp after the first one. I don't want to put Yorick on doing those Gromps. Let's have the Ghoul solo the Gromp instead. We get ourselves into a bit of a funny spot here, though, because Ninetales got a very nice buy. She is very tanky. She's very quick. Got the camp. That's my level 6. Always use level 6 to check the bushes if you can. Looks to me like, off a rough analysis of this scenario, nothing's going to happen. So I'm just going to rush the dragon. Ask yourself this. What happens if someone rotates onto you here? Well, my bot lane's right there to come and help me. What happens if their Nidalee comes? Well, then it's a smite fight. What happens if their mid comes? Well, then we can turn onto him. If all of them look like they were moving at me at once, I would say, yep, this is a problem. But judging by the fact that no one even looked like they were moving, I think that's a pretty easy going play. Now here, obviously, I've got 3 ghouls. I can let the ghouls do the blue. Obviously, I want to get a little bit of damage dealt onto it first. I don't want to leave it at, like, full health. I know Nidalee's not going to come for this anyway, because she's just recalled, and we just saw that. So, secure the blue. Meanwhile, let's go use the time and move towards our next camp, which is the Raptor camp. The red buff is up very, very soon, if not already. So we can secure the red as well. But we're just going to play safe. Notice, one thing you'll notice is the more you win games, the more you realize your deaths matter so much more than your kills. If you can not die, that every time you survive a fight, every single death that you prevent by not taking the extra risk is like significantly more important. All high elo junglers, you'll always notice they have low deaths, and it's because dying throws off momentum. Worse for Yorick, because dying not only throws off momentum, but dying kills all your pets. Dying will kill your ghouls, it will kill your maiden, it kills everything. And if you die mid-camp, you don't get to finish the camp, and it really, really sucks. So here I really wanted to go for a kill on the top laner. You can see I was going for a check on that Raptor, on the scuttle there, and it wasn't there. Checked all her camps are gone. Second you notice the camps are gone, you ping back the bot, because you know that she's going to go for it. Now, I should have been here already. I hesitated with this play, and I didn't want to commit to it, and it's a mistake. I always wall up in the same way, because I know it blocks off that location. But, obviously, you can see I can't kill. I can't get the kill off. And that's a risk when you verse Irelia. She's very, very scary. She kills Maiden very quick. She kills all your ghouls in one hit. I'm not going to stay here anymore. I'm going to recall. Let's go straight for our bot side camps, and let's go help our bot lane. I know I'm not going to get anything more out of this. In reality, I probably could have turned right there and killed Irelia. If I really wanted to, I could have turned right there. But I think my use is probably better off somewhere else. And what do you know? Because of the damage we did, she was in kill range for our top lane, and we got a kill out of it. So there's pros and cons for every play you make. That was a very big pro, is I knew I could play off my top. Now, normally I start the wolves off early. Here I actually changed my mind because I thought she might be doing my Gromp. And rewards there. If you ever suspect she might be doing your Gromp, just hold off on starting that wolf camp. And now we're looking at the single most important play of the game. Now, whenever you play Yorick jungle, there's two things you need to learn. Number one is leaving your ghouls to kill camps like that. But the most important thing to learn is if you can get your team to come for second grub spawn, you should take the fight every time. Second grubs means you have level 6, means you have your maiden out, and maiden around grubs means you have infinite ghouls. Now, starting off the play like this is perfect. You want to get those ghouls ASAP. But notice that every single grub that dies is leaving a grave. Or most of them. That's why in this position, even though there's 4, it doesn't matter. Because I have so many ghouls around that it's just an endless refreshment at this stage. I can take every fight. My team comes, we're 4v4 here. Oh, we're 4v5. No, my team all came for the grubs. And we just win easy. There's just no risk at all. Whenever Yorick is so far ahead, or even if you're even, Yorick always wants to play the grub fight, but you need to get your team there for it. If your team doesn't come for grubs, you kind of need to highlight the importance of having grub fights. Because your team's not always going to come for the grubs, unfortunately. High elo, yeah, they're more likely to rotate. But lower elo brackets, if they don't come, don't die for grubs. But just know that if you can get them to go for it, it is by far your biggest power spike. By far. And here you can see, she's on her way to lane. This is the quintessential perfect game. And that's it. From here, the game is over. It is impossible for them to come back from here. Because I'm just so far ahead. I've got so many items and I'm almost 9 CS per minute. It's just, there's just no chance. This one here ended up being a very, it wasn't a 19-minute game. Oh, it was a 19-minute game. But we ended up pretty much just pushing through. Anytime I wanted to run into their jungle, I just got lead on top of lead on top of lead of her. I just got so much CS over her. We secured the Rift Herald. We used a Rift Herald mid. We just got all the towers. We got everything. I think I did a maiden drop later. But you'll notice I'm winning these games off 2 items. It's boots and it's cleaver. I'm not even using a Shojin at this stage. I'm not using Leandries because you don't need these items to win games. The only item you need is boots 2 and your black cleaver. You get both of those, I promise you boys, you will win games so much. It just comes down to getting those 2 items. But I think this will be the end of the video. Thanks for watching, fellas. Regular uploads will continue. Let me know what you think about this style of video, which is just the summaries and the quick ones. I know there's probably a lot more to learn that I can showcase. But let me know how I go, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.